Good day everyone, Trainer Maxim with you. Thank you so much for joining me for this session. Today we're going to learn about the geometric mechanics of the hips. We're going to learn how to move the legs properly in accordance with the hip geometry. So join me to learn more about it. As always, before we start, I want to say thank you to everyone who supports my channel. Thank you so much, guys and girls, for your suggestions, comments, donations. Super thanks. I greatly appreciate it. My support angels, thank you so much for your help. And now some of you are participating in my course, The Fundamentals. Thank you so much. I'm super happy to see that you're enjoying the process, that you're staying active in the community hub, that you're asking questions. I will do my best to answer them as thoroughly as I can. I'm always there to help you with your progress, with your training. Please keep it up and good luck with your training. Now let's talk about the hips. Geometric mechanics of the hips sounds very intimidating, but it's actually very simple. So let's first figure out what is geometric mechanics. See, in mechanics, before you apply any force to any object, you really need to know the object's geometry, the object shape, the object's way it moves typically based on its shape. Maybe if the object has some parts, we need to know how those parts are positioned relatively to one another, in which angles, in which direction they face, and so on and so forth. Because based on that knowledge, we can define what kind of force and in what direction needs to be applied. For example, with this ball, I know the geometry of the ball. I know that it's round. I know that the round object moves in a certain way, so I will devise a certain force, certain algorithm for my body to produce certain force in certain direction so that I can move the ball. And this force will look like this. So I pushed on the ball and the ball produced a movement forward, exactly as I wanted. Because I know that this ball is round, I probably won't apply a direct pressure from above in order to cause the movement of the ball forward, because I know that it's not going to work based on the geometry of the ball, right? The ball is round, and round shapes are rolling forward when pushed. So I know that, I devise an appropriate force based on my knowledge. On the other hand, if I wanted to move this bench, that I know the shape of the bench, I know that it has two legs, the surface, and if I want to move this bench towards my body, then I will probably use both of my hands and apply equal force here and here so I can move it. I won't be pushing the bench from behind. I won't be applying any other forces on this bench rather than the force I need in order to move it. And all that interaction with the bench is based on the bench's geometry. My brain sees the shape and my brain devises a motor pattern, a motor algorithm for my bones, for my body, to engage the muscles in a certain way so that I can generate a certain force to move the bench in accordance with its geometry. So with our bodies, we have exactly the same task. Before we move our bodies, we need to know its geometry, because our body essentially is a system of levers. Those levers, they interact with each other, they placed in a certain way, in certain angles, they have some rules of interactions, limitations most importantly, and we really need to know all those rules and limitations in order to move it efficiently without hurting the body. Now, as for the hips, let me refresh your memory on the hip structure, and we will go from there. So I have a hip joint here. This is my right joint. You know that it has this socket in which the bone sits. The bone has this shape, and we go here, and this is our hip. The hip bone is tiny bit slanted here and tilted forward, our neutral tilt. All those things we talked about in my other videos. And this is your leg, and it moves like this in different directions, right? Nothing complex here. However, if you look at this bone, there is something fundamentally challenging about this shape. So please take 2 seconds to look at this structure. Are you noticing something awkward about this structure? Well, if you don't, I will point it out. So pay attention to the body of the bone. This is the bone, your femur bone, right? And for some reason, they decided to attach another kind of bony structure here at 45 degrees and put a ball on top of that bony structure, femur head. And that head sits in the socket like this. So if now you look at the bone, you can clearly see that the bone is going like this, 90 degrees to the floor. After we have some sort of bridge, we don't care about its name, bony bridge. And on top of that bony bridge that is placed 45 degrees to the bone, there is a ball attached to that. And that ball is entering the socket and being placed inside the socket and moves inside the socket. So that presents us with a very complex matter. I don't know why they designed it this way. I told them that it would be a challenge for humans, but they did not listen to me. I'm kidding, I didn't tell them. So the challenge about this bone, the challenge about this geometry is the following. We typically think that our leg is represented by its bone, by the femur, right? Well, it's, of course, you look at the leg, you see your leg, you know that inside the leg there is a femur. So naturally your brain perceives the leg as a femur bone. And whenever you want to move your leg, you want to move your femur bone. Forward, sideways, this way, that way, you're addressing it, all these movements from the perspective of the movement of the bone itself. Internal, external rotation, done from this perspective, thigh in, thigh out, and so on and so forth. So now let me show you the challenge of this perception. So let's say this is the bone, and I want to rotate the femur externally. This is my right femur, right? So external rotation is the rotation of the femur around its axis. It's very simple. Now I will attempt to rotate it externally. I want you to pay attention to the femur head, to this portion, and see what it's going to do. So I'm rotating the bone. External rotation, right? Now internal rotation, the opposite direction. Internal rotation. See what the femur head is doing? It actually rotates 360. Well, that's a dilemma. It cannot rotate 360 because it's attached into the hip. It sits in the socket, so I can't rotate the femur externally this way because it's out of the socket. That's a dilemma. It's painful. Internal rotation, out of the socket. Even if I decide to move the femur forward in a straight line, just like this stick, this one, or this one, see what the femur head wants to do. If I just do this, forward. Now the femur head is facing down, but it can't. It's supposed to stay in the socket. The forward movement. Now the femur wants to face down in an angle. It can't. It must stay in the socket. Sideways movement, same idea. Here, it can't. The femur head wants to get out of the socket due to the geometry of the bone. So for some reason, let's say when you rotate the bone rotates in this plane, like horizontal plane, right? This is the rotation, right? Geometry, planes, X, Y, Z, or sagittal, we don't care about the names, but the plane. So the ball will be rotating, for example, in this plane. But sadly, the ball of this bone, the femur head, rotates in this plane around axis like this. So you can see how the plane of rotation of the bone is like this, and the plane of rotation of the femur head is like this. So they're kind of crisscrossing with each other. So the movement of the bone in its plane, the rotational movement of the bone in this plane, is not compatible at all with the rotational movement of its head, the femur head. So we cannot rotate it in this plane because the ball has to rotate in this plane. They're completely different planes. They're placed in a different angle. And that presents us with a problem. We essentially really can't move the leg. No movements of the bone, sideways, rotational, are compatible with the movements of its femur head. Because again, sideways of the socket, if you perceive the movement as a straight line sideways, straight line forward out of the socket, straight line back, more or less, but still wants to go off the socket a little bit, and so on and so forth. So based on this fact, based on this, we can stipulate three things. We can definitely say that the movement of the leg in general, because the leg is not really represented only by the bone here. There are some other muscles, some other structures we need to take into account, such as the hip structure. So the movement of the leg cannot be represented by the movement of the femur head, of the femur bone. We cannot move the leg from the perspective of the femur itself, from the perspective of the femur bone. The second, we can definitely say that the movement of the femur is not possible without rotation of the femur head inside the socket. So let's say this is the socket, the femur head sits here. If the ball moves this direction, then the ball will be rotating. If the ball moves in the opposite direction, it's done through the rotation of the femur head that glides inside its socket. Same sideways movements and etc. So no movement of the femur is possible without the femur head rotating. And the third, we can conclude that there is no possibility to move the femur head must stay inside the socket at all time during the movement of the leg. So whenever you move the leg, whenever you move the femur, there is no possibility for the bone, for the ball of the bone, for the femur head, to get out of the socket. We must keep, under all circumstances, the femur head inside the socket in order to avoid the injuries, right? So those three things. We cannot move the leg from the perspective of the femur. We cannot move the femur without the rotation of the femur head inside the socket. And we must keep the femur head inside the socket at all time we move the leg. Those three conditions, those three stipulations. So based on those three stipulations, we can devise a rule. We must not move the leg from the perspective of the femur bone. We must move the leg from the perspective of the femur ball. We need to lead it with the femur ball. You want to move the leg forward? You place your mind into the femur head, rotate the femur head in order to cause the movement of the leg. Remember in my video how to think correctly, we talked about how the brain devises better motor patterns when your mind in the right place. So it's exactly the same thing here. Now let me show you what's going to happen when you're placing your mind not in the right body part when you move your leg. For example, let me do this. For example, you're standing like this here, and your objective is to move the leg sideways, just like this. And if you think that your leg is represented by the femur bone, then you will probably do this. 1, 2, and there is some limitation here. Again, because your brain perceives the leg as a femur, as the bone, and it tries to move it accordingly, just like this. Here, leg sideways. But see, with this movement, the femur wants to get out. Therefore, you will have some limitation here. 1, and you feel stuck. Versus, if you place your mind into the femur head and you think, I don't rotate the leg, I don't move the leg as a bone at all, I'm just mentally grabbing the femur head here, like this, and rotating it back, like this. And see what's going to happen. I'm placing my mind into the femur head, rotation, femur head, femur head, femur head, rotation. And now I'm kind of opening the hip. So I just gained the mobility by simply thinking correctly. So compare it from this angle. I'm thinking moving the bone sideways. Yeah, I can push it. I'm stuck because I'm trying to keep the height the same. I'm trying to move the bone at the same level. But remember, the bone, the femur, can't move in straight line, sideways in straight line, because that will cause the displacement of the femur head, right? And therefore you feel limited. You can push as much as you can. The chances are you might injure yourself a little bit if you push forcefully, especially when you stretch. Instead, you place your mind into the femur head here, and you say, okay, rotate the femur head back, and see what's going to happen to the leg. Femur head rotates back. And now I brought my leg in a completely different way down. So what's happening here is that when you place your mind into the femur itself, then the brain devises the motor algorithm that includes the muscles that are directly associated with the femur, typically glutes and IT band, to pull it sideways. And because you're thinking femur, that's pretty much it. Chances are the brain will not include other muscles that are responsible for the better accommodation of the movement of the leg, because you did not place your mind correctly. You place your mind into the femur. Had you placed your mind into the femur head, then the brain would recruit, besides the glutes and IT band, other muscles. Inside the glutes we have a bunch of other guys, like 5 or even 6 of them, piriformis muscles and other groups of muscles that are facilitating the external rotation and movement better. But it depends where your mind is. If your mind is in the femur head, then all those guys will be recruited at the same time with the glutes, with the IT band, and the brain will coordinate the work of those muscles in a certain way to accommodate the movement, the rotational movement of the femur head, since you placed your mind accordingly into the femur head. So see the difference, right? Rotate, move the bone, you stuck. Rotate the femur head, you move with ease, because now the brain designed a better, more efficient, better, well organized motor pattern. So from this example, we just need to devise a couple of ways on how to move the leg. And that is actually pretty simple. If you want your leg to move forward, you simply need to rotate your femur head, place your mind into the femur head, and rotate the femur head back. So we're going to use the back and forth reference relative to the direction of your body. If you face this way, the back is behind you. So this is back, this is forward. If you want the leg to move forward, then you rotate the femur bone back. 1. If you want to move the leg back, then you rotate the femur head forward. Forward, the leg moves back. You want the leg to move forward, you rotate the femur head back. 1. And that's it. It's actually very simple. Now the only thing you want to take care of is the angle in which you rotate your ball. Let's say this is the ball, this is the leg. Let's say like this, right? It's already forward. So if I rotate the femur back, the leg goes up. 1 back. That's it. But what if I need the leg to be sideways? Well, I just changing the angle, the rotational angle of my femur head from here to here. So now I'm rotate the ball this way and the leg goes sideways. If you need the leg to be inward, close to the midline of the body, then you change the rotational angle from here to here and rotate it back in this angle, and in this angle, or in this angle. That's pretty simple. So the femur head, rotated back to move forward, rotated back in this angle to move it sideways, rotated back in this angle to move it inwards. Same from the back perspective. Rotated forward to move this way, forward and this way, sideways, to move it sideways, and rotated forward but in this way to move it inwards. And that's your leg movement. So you are addressing the leg movement from the perspective of the femur ball, especially the side movements. Because have a look at this. A lot of people would get stuck from this. Like there is no range of motion, because again, if you move it from the perspective of the femur head, of the femur bone, like this, strictly sideways, you can't. This bone will hit the hip bone, and this is your limitation. And shall you push, you will displace the femur. Not a good thing. But how come that gymnasts kind of can move the leg sideways? A little bit up, and some ballet dancers, they can go even higher. Well, it's because the legs are moving in accordance with the geometry of the hips, meaning that probably their central nervous system sees the movement from the perspective of the femur head. And see what's going to happen if I do just that. I'm grabbing the femur head and I know that I want to go sideways. So I'm rotating the femur head in extremely external angle, like this. One, and go like this. And here's my movement. See how the femur is not going in a straight line sideways. The femur is going slightly parabolic trajectory, semicircular kind of, if the rotation gets like this. One, and you're meeting all those rules. The femur head rotates in the hip. Femur head, the smooth surface of the femur head stays constantly in the hip, and that is safe for the hip because the femur head cannot get outside of its socket. So you accommodate in the movement accordingly, keeping the smooth surface of the femur head inside the joint, rotate it, and move it sideways and up. And that's your mobility. So place your mind here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Rotate the femur back. In a way, you're operating the femur head as well. The best example I can think of is a police baton. You know, the police would have some batons to help people, to show them the right way, right? Like in Russia in 90s, the police baton would typically look like this. Like, let me give you an example. I know it's a brutal example, but it's the best I can think of. So the police baton would look like this. Baton with a handle. And they would grab this handle here, and they can protect and they can manipulate this, like Krav Maga style, Israeli style. So that police baton is manipulated by the rotational movement of the handle on top. And that's how you tell people how to get to Kremlin, tell them that the street to Kremlin is closed, you should know better, and etc. I'm kidding, yeah. There were a lot of courses back in Russia how to use that police baton. They're nice courses. Yeah, I took one in kindergarten, but didn't like it really that much. No, kidding. I didn't take it in kindergarten. So you got the idea, right? So back to the hip mechanics. Here. So you grab the baton like this. You rotate the handle, and the stick rotates in any way you want. You just change the rotational angle of the stick, but you keep rotating it to direct the stick and move it in that or another direction. Exactly the same situation is happening with the ball. So picture this is your handle, and you rotate it this way, the leg moves that way. You rotate it back, the leg moves this way, forward this way, and so on and so forth. So we operate the movement of the leg from the perspective of the movement of the femur head, not the femur itself. That will make the movement safe. And speaking of the side movement from this, you notice how I performed external rotation of the thigh a little bit. We know that external internal rotation of the leg are extremely important, and we train them. Yes, there is some mild degree of external internal rotation of the femur head inside the socket, yes. And why we need that small degree is not that you do that only once before you move the leg sideways. It's not that you rotated it out and move. It will still not give you the range of motion if you just do that external rotation step by step. External rotation first, one, sideways movement second. You stuck, the leg is not going. So we need those muscles that are in charge of the external internal rotation to do their job throughout the movement continuously, to rotate the femur head mildly in order to accommodate the rotational movement of the femur head. So because the femur bone can't move in straight lines, right? At some point, the femur head should go slightly sideways, rotates and go this way in order to facilitate the geometry of the femur head. So external internal rotation are extremely important when done continuously throughout the range of movement. Continuously means that at this point, when you move the leg sideways, you don't rotate it externally all out. You don't exhaust the full external rotation capacity of the joint. No, that will not give you the correct movement. What you do is just thinking about the ball, rotating the socket back, one, and it goes this way, goes, mild external rotation, more external rotation, more, and more. So the brain will decide when the external rotation is needed based on your placement of your mind in the femur head, and redistribute that effort accordingly throughout the movement, the eternity of the movement of the leg, sideways or back. So we should not perceive the internal external rotation as one step at a time, or internal rotation back, no, external rotation sideways, no. External internal rotation needs to be done continuously throughout the movement by your brain in order to adjust the trajectory of the bone so that it can move sideways or this way with the mild rotation of the leg, because the femur head is the femur bone is the entity that facilitates that follows the directions from the femur head. So the femur head is the head of the movement, is the CEO of the movement. The femur head decides how the femur should move in space, not the femur. The femur cannot tell the femur head how to move, because the femur is capable in pure geometry of the movements that would hurt the femur head, because femur head must stay in the socket, right? The femur head must rotate. So therefore, external internal rotation is facilitating all those adjustments throughout the range of motion of the femur in order to facilitate the geometry of the femur head. That's very important. And lastly, I want to say that whenever you do the movement of the leg, I want to remind you that the integrity of the spine, that the support from the spinal structure, especially the tailbone extension, tall spine, is very important, because all the muscles that are manipulating the legs, they're using the pelvis as an attachment point. And if that attachment point is unstable throughout the movement, then those guys will not be able to facilitate the movement of the leg, no matter how well you placed your mind inside the body. What I mean by this, let's say all those 5 guys inside the hips and the glutes and the hamstrings, they're using the pelvis as an attachment point to hold onto while pulling on the leg. Therefore, whenever they contract, they might be pulling quite hard, and they might cause the extreme posterior pelvic tilt of the hip. One, and that would change the position of the pelvis. That would make the pelvis unstable during the movement. So compare this. I'm rotating my bone and my butt sticking out, spine neutral. One, so I can move the leg. My tailbone is still sticking out, neutral tilt, not anterior, not posterior. Versus, I don't care about the spine. I just stand and I do this. External. One, and I can't move further because these guys, while they're pulling on the leg, they're also pulling on the pelvis, and the pelvis is unstable, pelvis slides forward, and done, full contraction of those guys. We exhausted the range of contractile capacity of those muscles, and they can't move the leg anymore. Besides that, the hip bone is pushed forward, so that makes the hip joint closed, we talked about in my other videos, and no luck with the mobility. So the spinal support, the support from the lower back muscles and other muscles that are in charge of the neutral pelvic tilt, I do have a video on this, check it out, is very important. The stability of the spine, neutral tall spine, is very important. Otherwise, without that, we won't be able to move the legs correctly. Okay? So I know that it's a lot to process. Just keep in mind, summarize. We move the leg from the perspective of the femur, because femur head, the femur cannot lead the movement. We must make sure that we rotate the femur, because femur head must rotate during the movement of the leg and must stay inside the hip joint, the hip socket, in order to move the leg safely and at the leg's maximum range of motion, just by thinking correctly. So those things, we're going to practice them. I know it's quite a few things, but after practicing, you will get used to this idea how to move the legs through the rotation of the femur head back and forth. We will do shortly a couple of movements in order to solidify this understanding, solidify this knowledge in your head. But before we do that, could you please watch a short ad about my course, The Fundamentals? Good day everyone, my name is Trainer Maxim and I'm so excited to see you joining this course. Thank you so much. I've designed this program to help you develop better flexibility, mobility and strength of the body's most important parts. And we're going to do that through working towards elements such as side splits, front splits, pancake stretches, spinal bridges and the open shoulders concept. So join me and let's see where this journey takes us. Thank you very much. Do check my course, The Fundamentals, out. You might find it useful. So now let's do the first movement. Very simple movement of the leg forward. Remember, we're placing the mind into the femur head and we're going to rotate the femur head back in order to move the leg forward. Let's really focus on that idea. Femur head rotates back, bringing the leg forward. Let's do 10 reps on each side. And go, ready? Femur head back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Keep your mind in the femur head motion, rotation. Let's do it one more time. Not the right bone, but it will do for now. So rotate the femur head back to move the leg forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Done. Very good. Nice. Let's do it one more time. Just keep in mind that we call the direction forward relative to where we face. So forward means this, back means this. Even when we're in the plank, we call it forward. Femur rotates forward. If you need to bring the leg back, or femur rotates back relative to the position of the torso, handstands, anything else. So let's freeze this reference point for the convenience. Let's do it one more time. Place your mind into the femur head and go femur head goes back. 1, rotates back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. And the other side, one more time. Femur head rotates back to bring the leg forward. 1, 2, 3. Nothing confusing about this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And done. Very good. Let's do it one more time. But before we do that, one small remark about the rotation of the femur. Remember how the femur itself as a bone can't move without the femur head rotating in the socket, right? But often there are situations when the muscles are so tight around the femur head that they prevent any rotation of the femur. They kind of freeze the femur, either too much activation of the glutes or what have you. So for example, if I grab the femur with my fist and squeeze it hard, and at the same time try to move the femur itself, femur bone, forward, that it won't go because I simply won't allow the femur head to rotate along my fingers. They're not sliding, I'm pressing. So the femur gets stuck. So the same would happen in our body when the muscles are tight and we can't move the femur, but the brain is smart. The brain will adapt. The brain will devise another motor pattern, another motor algorithm in which the movement of the leg, the absolute movement of the leg forward, will still happen even if the femur head can't rotate inside the joint. How? Well, we have the spine. The spine is very mobile, right? So let's say your femur head movement in the socket restricted. It can't rotate, it's so tight, but you still need to move the leg forward. How we do this? Well, the brain will crunch you. 1, 2, or back. 1 and 2. In absolute terms, yes, the leg is moving forward or back. But in relative terms, the leg does not move relative to the hip. It moves with the hip. Forward and back. Forward and back. Quite a few reasons why why we'll lose the ability to accommodate the movement of the femur head in the socket, but the most common one is the wrong perception. Wrong perception of the movement. See, the dilemma here is the following. When you think the leg forward, you typically might think that the femur should rotate forward as well. So everything goes forward. Once we decided that the leg is going forward, everything forward. Hip forward, everything forward. Back, same idea. Leg back, everything rotates back. But the dilemma with this, femur rotates forward means that the leg is moving back. But at the same time, you're moving the leg forward. So you're now trapped in the following situation. You're kind of trying to rotate the femur forward, activating all the muscles of the inner thighs, glutes, what have you, whatever muscles are there. So they're trying to perform this movement. And with this movement, the leg is going back. So some other muscles are active here, your glutes, to move the leg back. But at the same time, you're pushing quite hard with the hip flexors and other guys from the front to move the leg forward. And now you have the situation when the leg becomes trapped between the excessive tension here and excessive tension here. So the femur head can't rotate anywhere. And your only option to move the leg forward is to use the spinal mobility. Forward 1 and back 2. And if it becomes a pattern, it's a problem for us because we start walking like this, spinal flexion or back. So we don't really want it. We want to relax a little bit and realize, accept the fact that it's quite awkward. It's opposite direction. Femur rotates back, the leg goes forward. Femur rotates forward, the leg goes back. Let's do it one more time. So rotate the femur back. 1 to move the leg forward. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Done. Very good. And same idea on the other side. And go femur rotates, femur head rotates back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Very good. Well done, everyone. Next one. This one is a ballet style exercise. So find a bench, a stool, anything you can grab in the gym or in your house. Place the leg like this, standing tall. No need to lean forward, just stand tall. And we're going to attempt to move the leg sideways to the point that we become almost like ballet dancers, like in one line here. Picture there is a wall behind you. And we're addressing this movement from the perspective of the femur head rotation, not the femur itself, right? Because if you do the femur, you will be trying to do this at one level, it won't move, you will get stuck. So femur head rotates back, but now you change the rotational angle of the femur. You're not rotating the femur back in front of you in this angle. You're rotating this in an extremely outward angle like this. 1, so that the femur itself, femur bone, is led sideways with the mild outward external rotation and slightly down, so that you can perform this movement without turning the spine, without moving anything, versus this movement, you're stuck, you're kind of pushing it forward a little bit, not going to work. Let's do 10. So from this position, rotate the femur in at an external angle, back. 1, 10 reps. 2, 3, good. Keeping the spine tall. 4, tailbone reaching out. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Very good. Now let's do the other side. Same idea. Not the right ball, not the right bone, but it will do. So go here and rotate the femur back in an external angle. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Very good. Notice my movement is not clean, of course, because I'm assisting myself with the bone. Quite a challenging task, but notice how when I move, I'm not doing this 1. I'm not rotating the entire torso forward to accommodate the movement. So we really want to keep our mind in the femur head rotation in this way, back and sideways, to bring the leg sideways. And notice how from this view, when I do this, the leg is not keeping its level. It's not staying at the same height. It's impossible for the leg to move there at the greater length, at the greater range of motion. If I rotate the femur will perform this. 1, slightly up, external rotation, and after it will head down. 1, and will end up very far behind my body. So that's what we're trying to emulate. Let's do it one more time, 10 reps. On the toes, allow the heel to rotate. Do not collapse the foot sideways like this. Picture that your foot rotates this way, like a light bulb. So when you rotate, the heel goes really out and not on the side, not like this. If it does this, then you still keep your mind in the femur itself, in the femur bone, and not in the femur head. If it's in the femur head, then you will perform this movement. Ready? Let's go, 10 reps. And rotate. 1, femur head. 2, 3, good. 4, 5, 6, 7, femur head rotates back. 8, 9, 10, good. The other side. I keep using the same femur, but same idea here on the toes. And rotate the femur head back in that external angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, good. 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest. Very good. Now let's do one more set, 20 seconds. You're just going to hold it. You from a side. Go here. Spine tall without femur this time, so I can focus. And femur head. Rotate. 1. And you just stand tall like this. 20 seconds. You can exaggerate the rotation of the femur head, feeling quite a good tension here. Glute, something inside, something. All those other muscles are active. And hold it. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, and done. Very good. Trying to think about the neutral spine, tall spine, not slouching, not lean forward, tailbone sticking out, all those things we talked about in my other videos. Good. One more time. Good. And rotate femur head. A lot of tension here. 1, good. 2, 3, 4, 5. Feel it here. You can place your hand here to feel the activation of the glutes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, and done. Very good. Notice how my pelvis was trying to stay square, trying to face forward. And it's another thing. A lot of times in ballet class or gymnastic class, they will tell you, bring the leg sideways, but keep the hip square. Well, how on earth would you keep the hip square? They keep floating sideways. And the only way to keep the hip square is to somehow to engage your core, to twist it in the opposite direction. Like 1 and twist, and now you're breaking your hip. Because in the first place, the hips became not square due to the incorrect pattern of the movement, since we addressed it from the perspective of the femur. So that at some point the whole structure needed to float sideways, because otherwise the femur would go out of the socket, and we can't afford it. The brain can't afford it. So the brain naturally used the core to rotate the hips sideways to compensate for that mistake we made while designing the motor algorithm, motor pattern. So our hips are not square. And now your trainer or your teacher decided that it's not a good idea to keep the hip square and directs you to make it square by using the core in a different way. But the core is used that way in order to protect your structure. So now if you take this protection away, your hip might snap, you might get injured unless you do that correctly, right? So if you did that from the perspective of the femur and your hips rotated 1, then that rotation is needed to protect your hip. And shall you get rid of this protection? Somebody's holding your leg and you're rotating the hips opposite direction. You might feel some sharpish pain here, some action bone on bone, some squeeze, and those injuries, they just don't heal quickly. They don't heal fast. So please, please do keep your mind in the rotation of the femur head so that the pelvis in the first plate doesn't have any reason to float into not square position. Just femur head and pelvis stays. I'm not doing anything extra to keep my place, keep my hips in the position. I'm just focusing on the correct movement, so I'm not challenging the structure of the hip. And that correct movement is coming from the idea of placing your mind into the femur head rotation back, one, and not the femur sideways. That's how you, at the same time, keep the hips square without jeopardizing the structure of your hips. Okay, let's do the next one. Let's do the side movement of the leg. Same idea we used during the previous drill. So femur head is here, and we're just moving the leg sideways like this. Through the same pattern, femur rotates in an external angle back, and that's what brings your leg sideways. Let's do it one more time. Again with the femur demonstration. 1, 2, 3, good. 4, 5, 6, good. 7, 8, 9, 10, done. Good. The other side, let me do that without the femur. So same position, leg, and go femur sideways. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rotate the femur back. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Very good. Let's do it one more time. Notice when I do that with the mind placed in femur head, there is little deviation from my square hips, from neutral spine. If I do that with the leg, the brain will find the way to compensate, because remember, the leg can move sideways in a straight line, because at some point the femur head would want to exit the hip socket. We can't afford it. It's expensive. And go sideways, like notice 1, 2. See this hip hike? It's because I reached with this thinking, I reached the limit, but I still wanted to go higher. So the brain recruited the side muscles of the core to crunch my core sideways to facilitate it. Let's do it one more time. Right perception, rotation of the femur back in an angle. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done. Very good. The other side, I do not think, rotate my thigh out. There is no thought of this kind in my head. The external rotation is recruited by the brain when the brain deems it's needed throughout the entire motion. Because if I emphasize the external rotation right away, 1, and try to move the femur in a straight line, I will not be successful, because now the brain has no external rotation left to correct the bone throughout the range of movement. You exhausted it at the very beginning. So don't think about external rotation of the leg, femur, whatever. Just focus on the femur head rotation. That's it. Femur head goes back in an angle. That's it. And the brain will figure out how to rotate your femur, how to do the external, internal, whatever. Focus on the femur head. And go. Femur head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Spine tall, tailbone sticking out. 8, 9, not sticking out, extended. 10, and done. Very good. Let's do the next one. Let's explore another direction of the femur head rotation. Rotation of the femur forward. Remember what's going to happen? If I rotate the femur forward, where would the leg move? Femur head forward, where would the leg move? Back. Back. The leg would move back. You rotate the femur head forward, the leg moves back. Let's do just that. Standing tall, femur head rotates forward. 1, 2, 10 reps. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, done. Good. The other side, same idea. Femur head this time rotates forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Very good. Be careful, no cheating, because many of you must have done it in this way. And 1, 2. To your sensation, you brought the foot back. Yes, great. But no, your upper leg barely moved relative to the pelvis, because you just bend the knee and touch the floor like this. We really need the knee extension to make sure that the quads are keeping the knee locked, so that the back muscles can do their job and pull the leg, upper leg, the femur itself accordingly back, according to the movement of the femur head. So lock, 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 lock. Some degree between the some distance between this knee and this knee, not like this. Keep it in mind. So let's do it one more time. Place the mind into the femur head, rotating forward in a straight angle. View from the back and go forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Switch legs. Good. And go rotate the femur forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Very good. I know it's confusing, but give it a couple of tries. Next one. Let's really challenge our perception. Grab a step or a very low stool. So we're going to do step ups, this idea, 1 and 2, but it's not as simple as it looks. Typically, we again address the step ups from the perspective of the knee extension, and we would all do this. Lean forward, extend the knee, 1, and done. That overloads the knee. Because we start pulling with the quads, kind of trying to straighten it, but the quads can't really pull the shin bone forward, so the quads pull in the upper leg with all the body sitting on top of it forward. We don't like it. We, in the first place, need to perform a hip extension here. So the leg is going back, just like with the squats. I do have a video on squats. We've discussed it previously, so have a look at that squat video. So we want the hip to be extended by all the guys here. So the leg, the upper leg, the femur itself needs to go kind of down and back. So that direction, right? So now who knows the answer? In which direction the ball would be rotating when we need the femur to go down and back? Which direction the femur ball rotates? The femur head? No, not back. Forward. Forward. The femur rotates forward. If I rotate my knuckles forward, this is forward, 1, then I will force the upper leg to go the same way. And that's what we're going to focus on, to press up. You're not thinking, okay, lean forward and straighten the knee. No, keep the knee loose, whatever. Let the brain decide when it needs to activate the quads. Focus on the femur head rotation forward. That's it. Let's do that. And femur head rotation, very close to the stool. Femur head rotates forward, 1. That's it. Good. Forward, 10 reps. 1, 2. Good. 3. Forward, 4, 5, 6. Good. 7. Keep your mind on the femur head. 8, 9, 10. Very good. Keep your mind in the femur head. Stay relatively close to this stool. Let's do it one more time on this side. 10 reps. Femur head rotates forward. Forward. 1, 2, 3. Forward. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and done. Easy peasy. Good. Let's do it one more time. So just one little thing. Since we are supported with one leg on the way up, it's important to place the femur a little bit internally, like this. So the knee is still facing forward, but the femur placed here, so that the support point is in the middle of the torso, like this, in the midline. If you just place the leg sideways, then how would the body keep its balance? Since you have only one leg supporting and the rest of the torso hangs on this side, of course you will be prone to do some awkward things. So place the foot tiny bit here in the middle. That forces the femur to stay in this angle, and from that angle you rotate the femur head forward. Got it? Let's try. So femur rotates forward. 1, 2, good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Keep the foot planted. 8, 9, 10. Very good. Same on the other side. Femur rotates forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Done. Easy peasy. One more time, because I want to show you something else. Notice how on the way down I'm not really collapsing back, because the majority of my students would do this. No offense, but you guys do that. So you go and correctly engage the femur head. 1. But on the way down, you do this. Slightly down and back. So you're not using the hip flexion on the way down. You freeze the hip. The leg can't move, because probably you're relying on the knee flexion. 1. You don't want to fall, so you freeze it, but you need to go down somehow. So you lean back and collapse. No. On the way down, we're using the hip flexion. So on the way up, it's the hip extension, right? We know how to do that. Hip extension, the leg goes down and back. So the femur head rotates where? Forward, right? Forward, bam. That's good. On the way down, where the leg is going relative to the torso? When it's up, right? So on the way down, the leg ends up in this position. How would we bring the leg forward up? Which way the femur would rotate? The femur head would rotate. Back, right? Femur head, back. And that's exactly what we are deploying on the way down. On the way up, we're just thinking femur head rotates forward. 1, bringing us up. On the way down, we think femur head rotate, please back. 1. Now we're using the hip flexion, and we're going down in a straight fashion, so you don't have to lean back to fall and catch yourself and potentially hurt the lower back or the foot. You're just doing the hip extension with the femur head in mind. 1. The hip flexion with the femur head in mind. Femur head back. 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's do one more set, focusing on the femur head rotation forward on the way up, femur head rotation back on the way down. Ready? I know, nothing confusing here, right? And go from here, and femur head forward. 1, back, forward, back. 2, 1, 2, 3, good. 4, 5, femur head forward, femur head up. 6, sorry, not up, back. Femur head forward, femur head back. 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Keep your mind in the femur head rotation, nothing else for now. Let's do it one more time. The other side. Femur head forward, femur head back, forward, back. 3, forward, back, forward, back. 5, forward, back. 6, forward. 7, forward. 8, forward, back. 9, forward, back. 10. Good. There might be confusion, mild, like why is it forward, your finger is going this way, right, forward? Well, I'm addressing the rotation of the femur head from the perspective of its top, like my fist, knuckles. Knuckles would rotate forward. That constitutes for rotation of the femur head forward. But yeah, the bottom of the fist is rotating actually back. So to avoid the confusions, we're keeping our mind here on the top of the fist, kind of all the time. And we need to get used to this idea, right? It's all the matter of perspective here in biomechanics or even in life. The matter of perspective. So keep the mind on top of the femur head, kind of. Femur head rotates forward, represents here. Femur head rotates, the top of the femur head rotates back. That's back. The leg goes forward. That's it. Okay, done here. Let's do the next one. Let's do the bodyweight squats with the same idea. Focus on the same idea, just like with the step ups and down. When we go down into the squat, where the leg is ending up relative to the torso? Well, the upper leg ends up here. So at the lowest squat position, essentially, we have a hip flexion movement. So the upper leg went kind of up relative to our torso. Yeah, the torso went down, but relative to the torso, the upper leg went up. So we know by now, if we want the leg to go forward up, where the femur head rotates, well, it rotates back, one, right? And on the way up, to get ourselves out of the squat, where the upper leg is ending up, in the extension, hip extension. So the leg is going down. So we know by now when the leg is going down, down and back in a way, then the femur head rotates in which direction? Forward. So let's do a squat just like this. Femur heads rotate back to go down, one. Rotate forward to stand up, one. Let's do just 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Rotate back, rotate forward, final, back, rotate forward, done. One thing to keep in mind, when you're doing squats, any squats, weighted, not weighted, bodyweight squats, you really want to make sure that the legs are going that ballet style, just like we did at the very beginning on the bench. Remember that exercise? Rotating. Why we need it shortly. I'm not going to cover the squat mechanics entirely, but the dilemma when you just rotate the femur in a straight angle here. So the leg will be going kind of in front of you. That presents us with a problem because the center of mass stays far away from the pivot point, from the knee. And with this distance between the pivot point and the pelvis, I have no chance to keep my torso more upright relative to the hips. So I will have to lean my torso forward no matter how flexible I am, because if I attempt to lean my torso back and sit it on top of the hips more or less in perpendicular with the floor fashion, that I will simply fall back because my balance is not there. The mass distribution is not right. So we need to find a way how to keep the center of mass closer to the pivot point on the axis X. Let's say projection of the pelvis, if I drop a line, this line, the distance from here to my pivot point, kind of knees, heels, the distance is X, let's say 50 centimeters. So that's how far my pelvis sits away from the knee. I need to find a way how to place the pelvis closer to the support point. How I can do this? There are only two options. First, you grab an axe and chop your leg a little bit. We can't do this, right? And second, we just bring the leg sideways. Oh, nice. Now the projection of my pelvis on the axis X here, and the distance to the here, from here to the heel, only like 10-15 centimeters. So that distance, that decrease of the distance will allow me to keep my torso more vertical. And if I do the weighted squats, it's good for your spine, right? You don't have to carry all the weight on your spinal muscles, potentially risking with the spinal injuries. So if you perform that ballet move continuously on the way down, not just turn them back sideways and go down. No, that's not going to work. Continuously, just like with the external rotation, you're thinking at all time, you go down, more out. Down, rotate the femur ball more. Rotate, 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 to the point that your groin is completely stretched. And that kind of like you form this diamond, huge diamond. And that's how you perform the squats. Look from the side. Compare just regular here, fallen, I can't. That's why we throw the arms forward, versus rotate the femur sideways in an external angle. Rotate, 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 rotate. Now I feel supported. My body is not winking, or whatever the name is. So the tailbone sticks out like this, and you're supported. You can keep the torso more or less upright, and you can carry weights on top of the spine and so on. The other thing, when you're standing up, make sure that you're rotating the femur head in the same angle as you rotated it back. So rotate the femur forward in the same direction here, 1. Otherwise, if you think that, okay, you rotated the femur in the outside angle like this, 1, but you're rotating the femur forward in a straight angle like this, 1, then your knees will be collapsing inwards. So compare, on the way down, you did good, 1, but now you're rotating the femur forward, thinking that forward is that way, forward, and you go 1, knees collapsing. No, you keep the rotation of the femur forward in the same external angle here, rotate the femur forward, and you will be having these squats. 1, femurs back, femurs forward, femurs back, femurs heads forward, back, forward. At the same time, you're not placing the feet like a Donald Duck or Charlie Chaplin. No, you have some mobility in the ankles, that will be enough. And by doing this, you will reinstate your arches. And we talked about the importance of the rigid arches, about the importance of the arches themselves, feet mechanics. I do have videos on them. Check them out. So let's do 5 squats in this good fashion, 2 sets. And go. Femur heads out, 1. Good. Femur heads rotating back, 2. Rotating forward, rotating back, rotating forward, 3. Back, forward, back, forward. Very good. Only 5. Let's do it one more time. Now I will give you the front view. Keep the angle wide of rotation. So femur rotates in this angle, and femur head rotates back in this angle. Rotates forward in the same angle here. 1, 2. Ready? And go. And back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. 3. Back, forward. Femur head back, femur head forward, femur head back, femur head forward. And done. And the final is not going to be a drill, but let's talk about walking or running. How would you walk? How would you run? Remember, I made a video quite a while ago on how we walk by pushing back, how it changes the entire mechanics of the body, because we don't want to bring the leg forward and collapse forward. We will slouch, we will push the hips forward. So I explained it in that video. Now, when we adopt push to propel fashion of walking, meaning that we're not thinking leg forward. We're thinking leg pushes the torso forward by moving back. 1. And that's how you propel yourself. See how I'm not crunching. The momentum I create, if anything, keeps me upright, and my core supports me, prevents me from arching, and the core is very hard to fatigue, versus step forward. 1, I want to slouch, I want to collapse, I will be landing heavily on the front foot, which is not good, versus I'm pushing myself back and I'm not moving this leg forward much. 1, and because I did not move this leg forward, I landed my body with the center of mass, with the torso sitting on top of it, right on top of my knee, on top of my foot, getting nice support from that. 1, So the knee doesn't have to collapse forward versus bring the leg forward when there is momentum. Well, the knee will have to compensate, will have to go forward, right? So I covered all this in my walk-in video. You can find it in Start Here playlist. So if we walk from the perspective of the legs pushing us, pushing the torso forward by moving the femur back. One. So if the femur moves back, where would the femur head rotate? Yeah? Do you know that? Well, the femur head rotates forward. So now when you walk, just place your mind in the femur head and address the walking from the perspective of the rotation of the femur head forward. 1, 2, 1, 2. And not the other way. Don't think that bring the leg forward, that would rotate the femur back, right? 1. Your pelvis will go this way into the posterior pelvic tilt. You land on this pelvis. 1. Your lower back is already stretched, all the lower back muscles stretch. And now you will be absorbing the shock you will have with the stretched muscles of the lower back. The lower back will stiffen after 15-20 minutes of especially slow walking. The lower back will stiffen due to this. Versus rotate the femur head forward. 1. And that preserves your natural tilt of the pelvis. 1. So my body is still here. So all the muscles available. I have the neutral tilt. Versus forward. 1. My body is down. My body is under the torso. So it means that my lower back lost its curvature, it's stretched, and all the shock absorption the spine would typically do during walking, going into the overstretched muscles of the lower back. Not cool. So go to the gym or outdoors and try all the runnings, all the walkings you do, slow, uphill, downhill, whatever, from the perspective of the rotation of the femur head forward. Rotation of the femur head forward to push the femur back to propel the body forward. No confusion here, right? It's like forward, up, and back. It's all clear, of course, I know, but you will manage that. Give it a couple of tries, train this perspective for a couple of times, maybe 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks, and it will become more intuitive. That's how we learn. You asked me 10 years ago, or you tell me 10 years ago that I would be speaking English quite fast, I would laugh into your face, because all those rules and regulations and stipulations and everything English grammar has to offer, that was a nightmare for me. But I got used to this. My brain adjusted the ways it would think about the structure of the sentences, and now I can pull the data from my brain at a faster speed. The same with the body. We're learning a new body language essentially. And yes, your native body language is not compatible with your good body mechanics. So we're learning a new body language. Think about it as of learning Russian right now. Quite challenging, but once you understand the core concept, toe spine, tailbone extension, how to operate the legs, the bones of the legs in accordance with the geometry of the hips, geometric mechanics, then it will become easier and healthier for hips. You will spare a lot of troubles for yourself. So don't give up hope. The hope is there. You will be successful after a couple of times. We're done for today. I hope you enjoy this long talk, but sorry, I needed to explain this in details because this piece is huge in the body's mechanics. It will improve your running, it will improve your height of jumping and all those things we need. Walking, squats, what have you, whatever activity you do with the hips, L-sits, squats, legs apart and the handstands, this idea will impact those movements greatly. So it's a very important topic we've covered today. And I'm not kidding, not saying just because, it is. So please give it another watch maybe, take a couple of notes, try. I will try to come out with the follow-along exercises for the hips in terms of this movement. The next time I will be doing the same video on the shoulder bones, some teaser. I don't have the shoulder bone here, but it's the same idea. The shoulder bone follows the same thing. The shoulder bone humerus has a ball here attached kind of 45 degree to the main ball, but without this bridge. But it's the same idea. We will cover it later. I know, quite a few things still to learn. Now go enjoy your day. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you got the concept. Let me know if it made any difference in your practice. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video, and do please check out my course, The Fundamentals. I worked hard on this and you might benefit from it greatly. Okay, that's it for today. Go enjoy your day. Train your maximum with you. Bye bye.